Hi folks, Mrs. Dunlap here. Today we are going to talk about how to write your body paragraphs, okay? So at this point you should have logged into your outline and changed your header and your heading if you wanted to already, and then you should have your thesis finished, which is letter C of your introductory paragraph. So, just kind of revisiting what we've been doing so far. This is posted on Classroom, but the assignment is listed there for you. So I gave you, let me pull these up here. Oh, same document. I gave you 6 sources to read. I just realized this fourth one required you to pay for a subscription, so I apologize about that. But I did today just add another source that talks more about virtual reality, and it is linked there. So if you want to go back in, this is more of a pro source of it, contributing to mental health issues and aggression. So we don't. You should be seeing a trend here. We're seeing that a lot of these are saying that there is no link or lack of evidence, or basically, yeah, little evidence saying that there is a connection. What they do say, though, is that it can increase aggression, but there is huge lack of research to it producing violent crime or making people commit violent acts of crime. So some of the sources do, it is kind of, I'd say it's like 70-30 about the increase in aggression. But anyway, so here's our sources. You can always refer back to those. I'm going to teach you how to cite those this week. But these, I changed our tentative due dates here. So we are going to be working on the outline, the body paragraphs. The outline's going to be due a week from today, and then that'll be easily shifted into your rough draft. And then we will peer edit and teacher review, and then your final essay will be due the 13th. Okay? So, went over that there for you. Again, this is a new source that I linked in that document and posted on Classroom for you. Okay? So I'm going to write a paper right along with you. So feel free to use some of my stylistic elements. Obviously, do not copy my paper word for word, but you're more than welcome to express your opinions and like the format that I use with the strong verbs, or how I set up quotes, transitions that I use, all of that stuff. Okay, so for the sake of the assignment, this is Wendy Ryder. You like that? Wendy Ryder's last name goes up in the header up here, which should be done for you. So your first and last name here, last name up here, my name, writing one, discovering voice, and then always the date the paper is due. You can put a title, or you can just leave it like that for now if you want to wait. But at this point, all you had to do was write your thesis, and I just gave you all feedback on that, okay? So take a look at mine here. I read through the sources again, and I feel that the sources are saying this. So let me read this to you. And remember, a thesis statement has to be specific, you guys. It is a roadmap, and it is setting up your paper. It's setting up your reader to know the key points of your paper. So if you just say something like, there are plenty of reasons why there's no link. Well, I don't know the 3 reasons. You have to be specific. So look at how I use a compound complex sentence here. That means a setup with a dependent clause, semicolon, conjunctive adverb, and a comma. Okay, I kind of stepped up my thesis compared to the example I gave you, which was a little simplistic or skeletal, but it's okay. All right, and when you get to college, you don't have to explicitly come out and say those 3 points in your thesis. They can kind of be inferred and then you go into them. But for the sake of this assignment, I wanted you to see the 3 points. So, although many feel violent video games cause aggression, this is simply not the case. Thus, researchers are concluding there simply is not enough evidence and are also finding violent video games may reduce real-world aggression and even teach gamers decision-making strategies. So, look how I set it up with the opposing view and a dependent clause. Although many feel violent video games cause aggression, this simply is not the case. Thus, researchers are concluding there simply is not enough evidence. That's my first point, because that was all over these articles. There's just not enough evidence, not enough evidence. And are also finding violent video games may reduce real world aggression. Okay, that was stated in a source. And even teach gamers decision making strategies, which was also in a source. And I think I was wise enough to pull these 3 points from 3 different articles because that's part of your assignment. You have to use a minimum of 3 sources, 3 to 5. So what's going to be nice is here's my 3. I'll have the opposing viewpoint for my counter argument, and I'll have used at least 4 sources. Okay. So today we're going to talk about going into our body paragraphs. We're going to leave the points A and B alone in our intro. We'll come back to those later because right now we have the research fresh in our mind. We have our points and we want to set that up. Okay. So really, guys, writing a formal or a persuasive paper is all basically a format. It's a math equation. Yeah, how can English be math? Okay, so just to reiterate that, each body paragraph is basically an equation, okay? And it's called the S.C.C method. And what that is you set up your quote with introducing a little bit. You cite your evidence backing up your claim or your topic sentence here, okay? And then you explain what your quote means. All right. So, what I'm going to do here is, and you can do this too, because it's just an explanation. You can delete, oh, shoot. You can delete this because your topic sentence is going to be your first sentence of your first body paragraph. Okay. And that is going to lead into this just general couple sentences about your first claim. And then you're going to go into the evidence backing it up and then explain what those mean. Now, if your sentence looks kind of dinky, maybe it's only, or your paragraph, it's only like 3 to 4 sentences, you're going to want to do it again with another piece of evidence and then transition. So I'm going to pause the video and do this for you, and then I'll show you what I came up with. Okay, so you're going to see that I just wrote my general summary. Okay, so I'm going to delete letter A here. Oh my gosh, I just hit the mic. I'm so sorry. And you'll see that it's right here. Okay, it's my claim. It's my topic sentence here with some general summary, and I'm going to read that to you. The question of whether violent video games cause an increase in aggression has been highly debated throughout the past 20 years. Since one of the first notorious mass shootings in the United States at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado, researchers have been trying to find a correlation in violent video games and aggression, which is true. So, Columbine, you guys, really, I was my freshman, I think, in high school. This is like the notorious first mass shooting. So this is when all this research started happening because these two crazy white kids from Colorado decided to massacre their peers. I mean, I've seen footage of the shooting during my ALICE training, and I couldn't sleep for days. It was terrible. So they were trying to find any reason why that those two did that, and they looked into them playing video games. So that's where all this research has the idea behind researching has come from, was Columbine. So I gave see how I gave a little general information there about how this topic has started, why researchers are looking into this correlation. And then I go into my next sentence. So you want to have, let's see, like 2 or 3 sentences kind of background. Many researchers have also tried to prove through their studies if these games lead to acts of criminal violence. Conclusively, there is not enough evidence. So, what I took from the sources, honestly, I'm a little worried about my paper here because I feel like I'm seeing that there is a link in aggression, but there's not a link in criminal violence. But I'm going to try and use these sources to manipulate my arguments here because there is evidence in the one CNN source that I'm going to show you here in a minute. Okay. So now we're going to go into citing a quote. So this is the S.C.C method. This is the setup. And then now we're going to, the letter C here, we're going to cite evidence. Okay, folks. So let me show you how I set up my first quote. So my introduction was talking about kind of the background of where this research has started from or what spurred that. And then after that, I quoted the CNN article. And I'm going to show you how I did this in accordance with MLA. So I did according to Arman Azad in his article. Now, because I'm introducing the author in the title, I don't have to have a citation at the end. Now, if I just said according to the article, blah, 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 then I would have to have Azad and then, or just Azad in the parenthetical at the end. But since I said it first, I don't. So according to Arman Azad in his article, blah, 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 blah. Now, look here. The quote that I'm using was not said by Azad. It was said by the researcher Andrew Przybylski. So you have to set it up saying that he quotes him, okay, if you have a quote within your article. Now, another way to do this is if you just start saying, in the article, blah, 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 it says, and you don't mention the author's name or that he's quoting a person, in your parenthetical down here, you would say, quoted in Azad. Okay, like that, and then the period, and then you make this a lowercase I, because that's saying that this quote was said in Azad's article and not by him, okay? So we're going to go back here so you can see this. According to Arman Azad in his article, Video Game, he quotes Andrew Przybylski, an associate professor at the University of Oxford who studies digital media, saying, the evidence has become pretty clear that where there are correlations, it's probably because of a third factor. So, guys, look how specific I'm being. I'm setting it up. I'm saying who Andrew is. This is my first paragraph already, and I'm already half a page. So the more specific you are, the better, okay? Now I'm going to show you how to do the third S.C.C method. So we set up the quote first here with 3 sentences. We cited our evidence, and now we're going to comment on it in our own words, okay? Okay, folks, so check this out. I kind of did letter A and B, that optional evidence number 2, without even knowing, because I felt like it needed to flow a little bit more and I needed to back up what I was saying. Okay, so let me show you where I left off here. I had my first quote, and then I said, Przybylski goes on to say it is a known fact boys tend to be more aggressive than girls on average and are more likely to play video games. So now I'm commenting on that, okay? And I'm also, I paraphrased here, and I gave credit where credit was due because I took this and put it in my own words, but not enough to where it was common knowledge. I still had to quote it. And look how I'm further commenting on my quote, my first quote. He continued his research in 2019 with a published study of more than 1,000 British teens and found no connection between and I do a partial quote here, just like I did in that last one, the time spent playing violent video games and aggressive behavior. And again, that was quoted. That wasn't Azad saying that. That was this guy here. Okay. So I just kind of concluded what I was saying with a few more partial quotes, and that can count as like that second piece of evidence if you need it. So look how I I kind of wrap up my idea here. Azad concludes in his article that a 2015 report from the American Psychological Association, which initially found a consistent relationship between violent video games and aggression, also reported there was insufficient evidence to link that aggression to criminal violence or delinquency. I did another partial quote there. That is really powerful to be able to blend your words with your research. So I challenge you to do that. So here is my kind of closure, my transition into the next thought. Until more thorough and frequent research takes place, readers can conclude, I hate the word that, so get rid of that. There is little to no correlation between violent video games and aggression, or worse, criminal acts of violence. Okay? So look here. I can get rid of this because I did that. I did put extra evidence in there from the same source. I didn't use a different source, but that's okay. You don't just have to have one quote in your paragraph. You can have multiple quotes from an article or articles. Now, you could transition here and say, just as there's insufficient evidence, another factor is, I got to look at my thesis up here. Another claim or another finding is that violent video games may actually reduce real world aggression. So you can put your transition there, but I'm not going to. I'm going to put it. What is this? Wait, did I mess up our outline here? I think I might have. Hold on. So I'm actually going to put this, which you can, okay? You can have the transition either at the end of the paragraph or at the start of the first one, okay? So that is what I'm going to do here. That should be B. Okay, so all I did was move my transition to the top of the second paragraph, and that's where I'm going to go transition into my second point. So I can say right here, just as there is little to no evidence that, between the link of violent video games and aggression, there's actually a conclusion that video games may reduce real world aggression right there. And then I would stop there. Okay. And then I'm going to pull from my second source to back up that. Okay. So I'm transitioning and even saying my topic sentence all in one. So then again, I'm just going to repeat what I did in this paragraph. Okay. So I'm going to give a little general summary about how it reduces aggression, back that up with my quote or quotes from my article, and then transition again. So a problem I just realized as I was looking through my research is that point actually comes from the same Azad article. Okay, so what I could do is definitely cite that point, which is from that Azad CNN article again. But I could also, in that same paragraph, back that up with like furthering that from another source. It's okay to use more than one source in a paragraph, okay? So as I'm looking through these sources, I see some really outstanding points like this was the audio one from NPR about how studies found a slight increase in annoying behavior, but no actual violence. I could also add the point that I love that point about when a minority commits crimes. It's because they're a minority. But when a nice white kid from the suburbs commits these crimes, they look for these causes and they link it right to video games. So they automatically like assume that this white kid is a good child and that some kind of evil infected them. So I can talk about that too in my second paragraph. And then for my third point, is definitely from a second article. It was the Washington Post. What we can learn from video game violence. On the second page, I printed my sources out, but it's like the 5th paragraph from the bottom. It talks about how video games can teach like moral decision making and lessons, and there's the big themes of good versus evil and how to analyze those. And it's been so cool as an English teacher over the years. Like when we've read stories in class, like especially in Brit Lit with like Beowulf and medieval literature, I always have students that are like, "Oh my gosh, this is a video game," or "We've done this in a video game." So there's definitely in that Washington Post source, there's like a narrative, there's a storyline, a plot that teaches people how to follow that and also to understand good versus evil and even decision making processes. So that's going to be my third point. So I will update this for you so you can see how my sample paper flows together. I might even do another video on my other two body paragraphs. But really, folks, if you just repeat this template, this format for the rest of your ideas, you're going to have your body paragraphs done in a jiffy. Okay. So I'm hoping to get to the counter argument Friday or Monday. I can't remember. I got to look in my lesson plans, but all we're going to do for that, again, is just fill in the blank. We're going to address the opposing view, which I think almost all of you agreed that there's no link. And when I was looking at your thesis statements, and we'll touch on that, and then we'll talk about your intro and conclusion early next week too. Okay. Happy writing. Reach out to me if you need help, and I'm here to answer any questions you have. Okay, folks. Good luck.